Guys, hope you're having a great day. Today we are going to be making my mushroom buddy pattern. Now, if you like this pattern and are interested in purchasing the PDF pattern of this, so that way you can print out your own copy and follow along without having to look through the video, I will have that linked in the description box below. Alright, so for this project, let's talk about materials. First of all, we're going to need size 4 worsted weight yarn. We're going to need the colors red and white. Now, it doesn't really matter if you use acrylic or wool or cotton or whatever you're trying to use in terms of the material. It's just important for it to be a size 4. Then for the crochet hook, we're going to be using a 3.5mm crochet hook. This one I've got from Hooks and Needles, and it's a pretty comfortable grip. You're also going to need a tapestry needle, and that's going to be for the details at the end when we are embroidering some details on the top of the head. You're going to want some safety eyes. I've got 15mm safety eyes here today, and they are actually, as you might be able to see, there's like a bit of brown surrounding them, and so these are actually called animal safety eyes. You could also get the ones that are fully black. It doesn't actually matter what size. I'd say use whatever safety eyes you have on hand, but for this project it does look cuter if the eyes are like a bit bigger. And then of course the backs for the safety eyes. You'll need scissors, and then you'll want your fiber filled stuffing. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the actual pattern. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're actually gonna start with the red yarn. So I'm just going to put the white yarn to the side. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with a slip knot and then be able to begin this process. All right, so the first thing you want to do is chain 2. And then in the second chain from the hook, you will want to place 6 single crochets. The last thing you want to do is slip stitch to close the round. Okay. So alternatively, you could actually use the magic circle for this, but as I explained in a previous video, I actually don't really like the magic circle that much. But if you wanted to use the magic circle here, then instead of chaining 2, you would put 6 single crochets into a magic circle, close that circle, and then slip stitch to close the round. All right, so now we're gonna start with round 2, and I prefer, there's 2 ways you can keep track of your rounds. You can use a stitch marker at the beginning of each round if you'd like. I actually like to just chain 1 before I start each round because it helps me, it's like a stitch marker and it helps me keep track of where I'm at. All right, so for round 2, we're going to increase in all 6 stitches, and that will give us 12 stitches. So I'm gonna go ahead and increase in every stitch. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, if you're working in spiral rounds, you would go ahead and at this point remove your stitch marker and just put it at the beginning of your next round. For me, I'm just going to slip stitch to close each round. Again, I just like doing this because it allows me to keep track of where I'm at, and I feel like it provides a very neat finished product. All right, for round 4, we are going to chain 1. Then we will do 1 single crochet, and then increase in the next stitch. So single crochet in the first stitch, and then increase in the second stitch. We will repeat this process 5 more times for a total of 6 times. So single crochet in the first stitch and increase in the second stitch. So now we've repeated that process 2 times. We will repeat it 4 more times. Now that we're done with the round, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to close. And now we're ready for round 4. I'm going to chain 1 before beginning round 4. Round 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets and then increase in the next stitch. So we are going to start with 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then increase in that third stitch. We will repeat this process 5 more times for a total of 6 times. So let's again, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and 1 increase. Now that we've done this process twice, we're going to repeat it 4 more times. Now that we're at the end of the round, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to close. And now we are ready for round 5. I'm going to chain 1. Now for this round, we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase, and we'll repeat that process 6 times. So let's go ahead and do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and now an increase. So now that we've done that process 1 time, we're going to repeat that process 5 more times. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, and an increase. So now that we've done that 2 times, we're going to repeat that process 4 more times. Now that we're at the end of the round, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to close and chain 1. And now we are ready for round 6. Round 6, we are actually going to do 4 single crochets followed by an increase. And we are going to repeat that process 6 times. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, and increase. Now that we have done that process 1 time, we're going to repeat it 5 more times. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, and increase. Now that we've done this process 2 times, we're going to repeat it 4 more times. Now that we're at the end of the round, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to close and chain 1. All right, and now we're going to do one more set of increases, and that's going to be round 7. In round 7, we are going to do 5 single crochets followed by 1 increase, and we're going to do that process a total of 6 times. So let's go ahead and start. You've got 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, and 5 single crochet, followed by an increase. Now that we've done this process once, we are going to repeat it 5 more times. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, 5 single crochet, and an increase. Now that we've done this process 2 times, we're going to repeat it 4 more times until the end of the round. Finish the round, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch close. Rounds 8 and round 9 are going to be exactly the same. We're done with our increases, so now we are actually going to just do single crochets all the way around for round 8 and then also for round 9. So we should single crochet times 42. So I'm going to go ahead and count that. I have chained 1, and now we will commence with 42 single crochets. We are now changing to the white yarn. Okay. We have now completed the head or hat cap of our mushroom buddy. I'm going to bring this inside. At this point, we can change to the white yarn. So now that we're changed to white yarn, I'm going to make a slip knot. And now I'll go ahead and attach this to where we left off. I'm going to insert my hook, bring the white yarn through, and chain 1. Now that I've chained 1, we are ready for round 10. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and work on the body of our mushroom buddy. So for round 10, we're going to single crochet into all of the stitches. So 42 stitches once again. However, we are only going to be working in the front loop. And by working in the front loop, basically will provide a very, very, very tiny ridge, very subtle, but a nice detail, tiny ridge of the, to make it seem that the red part of the hat is covering the white part of the body. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit to show you what the front loop looks like. The front loop is going to be right here. So in all of your stitches, it is a V shape. You see the front loop and the back loop. Front loop, back loop. We are going to be working in the front loop. Okay. Let's go ahead and single crochet 42 in the front loop only. I'm going into the front loop and doing a normal single crochet. Then we will repeat this 41 more times. Alright, we're here close to the end of the round, and I would just like to show you the effect of working in the front loop only. As you can see, it looks like there's a small ridge of the red that's folding over the white, and so it looks like the little hat is suddenly, very subtly, laying right on top of the mushroom. So we're going to go ahead and finish up the front loop only single crochets in this round 10. Alright, here we are at the very end of the round. And now that we have finished the round, we can slip stitch back to close the round and chain one. Now one thing I'm going to go ahead and do that you could do at this time or later is just bring these ends to the inside of our mushroom buddy, since they will not be seen. Bring the white one through this hole. Alright. Okay, and now for rounds 11 through 13, we are actually going to single crochet all the way around. So for round 11, round 12, and round 13, you'll have 42 stitches. It's a total of 3 rounds of single crochets. Now, these single crochets are going to be normal single crochets. They're not just going to be in the front loop. They will be regular single crochets that go through the front and back loop. Okay. So I have just done a couple of those, and I will meet you back after round 11 through 13 are completed. All right, here we are, and we have completed round, just about to complete round 13. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the last 3 single crochets in this row, or round 13, and then we will go ahead and continue. All right, now that we're done with round 13, we're going to slip stitch to close the round once again, and then we can chain 1. All right, so round 14 is actually pretty fun. We are going to start creating the arms and legs. Well, first we'll start with the arms, and then we'll move on to the legs in a later round. So we're going to be using the bobble stitch for this, to keep this as a no-sew pattern. So for round 14, we begin by creating 13 single crochets. So that's what I'm going to start with. 1, 2, 12, and one more brings us to 13. We will now commence with the bobble stitch. All right, so for those of you who don't know how to do the bobble stitch, just listen or watch closely. You're going to start by yarning over. You're going to create this bobble stitch in just the very next stitch. So you're going to insert your hook and pull through a loop. Now you've got 3 loops. Then you're going to yarn over, and insert your hook and pull through one more time. So now you've got, I'll go ahead and show you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and complete this process one more time. And now you should see, I believe, 7 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops. And that is the bobble stitch. All right, and now that we've done the bobble stitch, we have 13 more single crochets. 1, 11, 12, 13. We will now create another bobble stitch. So I'll go a little bit faster this time. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull through a loop, 3, yarn over, same process, pull a loop through, you've got 5, yarn over, pull through, and now you've got 7, yarn over, and pull through all of the loops. And then we will finish by doing 14 single crochets to complete the round. We'll start with this 1, 13, and 14. Go ahead and slip stitch to close the round. And now we will commence with round 15. But before we do, I wanted to just go ahead and show you. You can see the result of the bobble stitches. The little arms are now poking out on either side. So this whole time we've been working on this project basically upside down. But this is how the mushroom's gonna look. These are the little arms. All right, let's go ahead and do round 15. And for round 15, 16, and 17, we will be creating single crochets. So 3 rows of single crochet. So that's 42 stitches per round. I would like to show you here how to do a single crochet when you did the bobble stitch in the last round. You may notice the little bobble stitch right here. We will just pretend that it doesn't exist and just simply do these single crochets right over top. You just do the single crochet process as normal. All right, here we are about to finish round 17 with our last 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And now that we're done with round 17, we can go ahead and slip stitch to close and chain 1. And now for round 18, we're going to create those cute little bottom legs, which means more bobble stitch. All right, we're gonna start out round 18 with 16 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 16. Now that we're at number 16, we're gonna go ahead and do a bobble stitch in the very next stitch. And now we are going to do 5 single crochets. 1, 2. We are going to do 1 more bobble stitch here. And now we're going to finish the round with 17 single crochets. 1, 2, now that we've finished the round, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to close. And now here we are. Okay, so for round 19, we're going to go ahead and do decreases. This will help us to close up the body of the mushroom. We're going to start with doing 5 single crochets and 1 decrease. We're gonna do that 6 times in the row or round, and then we will end with 36 total stitches. So let's go ahead and start with the 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We will now do a decrease stitch. So we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch, insert it into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through both, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's how you do a decrease. Let's go ahead and try it again. 5 single crochets and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now a decrease. So once again, insert your hook into the first stitch, insert your hook into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to repeat this process 4 more times. 5, and now our final decrease. Now that we're done with the round, we can slip stitch to close. Let's chain 1 and keep going to round 20. For round 20, it's gonna look pretty similar to round 19, except we're gonna do 4 single crochets followed by a decrease 6 times. We should end this round with a total of 30 stitches. Let's go ahead and get started. 1, 2, 3. Now that we're at the end of the round, let's slip stitch to close. Chain 1, and before we finish up with rounds 21 through 24, let's go ahead, turn our project around, and this is a great time to add the safety eyes. So here's what we're gonna do. We can go ahead and put the safety eyes in round 12, and we can do them 7 stitches apart, or you could do more or less depending on your preference. Hey guys, I think I just realized that I placed the safety eyes a little bit askew. I was supposed to place them a little more to the center in between the hands, so sorry about that. But I think he's still pretty cute. We're just gonna keep going with our mushroom buddy. Just be sure to decide exactly where you'd like your eyes before fixing the back in place, because this is pretty permanent. You can't really undo it once it's done. That being said, I still think he's cute and will make a great desk buddy for me. All right, let's go ahead and continue on with round 21. For round 21, we are going to commence with 3 single crochets followed by a decrease. We're going to repeat this process 6 times until we have a total of 24 stitches. So let's go ahead and do this process now. We've got 1, here we are, finishing round 21. 1, 2, 3, and our final decrease of the round. Now that we've completed this, let's go ahead, slip stitch to close, and chain 1. For round 22, we're gonna go ahead and do 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. We're gonna repeat this process 6 times. Let's get started. 1, so we've got 1, 2, and a decrease. And now that we've completed this round, we slip stitch to close. All right, before we chain 1 and finish up our mushroom buddy, this is a great time to stuff him. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. You can use as much fiber fill as you would like. This is kind of done to your preference. I'm just gonna pull this loop out a bit so that way we don't, lose our place or start unraveling things. All right, now I think that's more full and more the way I like it. Let's go ahead, turn him upside down, and complete our mushroom boy. All right, so let's do round 23. For round 23, we are going to do 1 single crochet followed by a decrease. We're gonna do this process 6 times until we have 12 stitches total. So I'm going to chain 1, and now we're going to do that process. So we've got 1 single crochet, let's go ahead and finish up the round. 1 single crochet followed by a decrease. And now that we're done with the round, we will slip stitch to close. And now for our final round, we are actually going to do 6 decreases, and that should be the end. We will be able to sew the opening shut from there. And last but not least, number 6, if you can see it in there, it's there. You may need to stretch your stitches a little bit just to get to the 6th set of your decrease. All right, you can slip stitch to close the round. At this point, you can basically fasten off. If there's still any type of hole remaining, you can always sew it shut using a tapestry needle, or as I like to do, I just like to do a couple of one or a few little slip stitches right at the end. And at this point, we can use our scissors to fasten off. So for those of you who have not done much embroidery before, never fear, because this process is very simple. So what you're gonna wanna do is get your tapestry needle and some yarn. We're going to be using white yarn to create the details on our mushroom buddy today. We're focusing on the head, and I would say you want the piece of yarn to be probably 24 inches on one side, so I guess a total of 48 inches long. That would be a good place to start. And now for our very final step. I like using makeup sometimes if I want my project to have an extra special finish. So today I'm using some basic Ready in 5 eyeshadow palette from Morphe. like my mushroom buddy is ready to go and ready to accompany me on my desk. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Remember, the written pattern is available to download on my Etsy on the link that is mentioned below. Have a great day. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with others. I will see you in the next one. Bye!